All right, can you see me? So it says it's broadcasting. You sure it's the? Sure it's. All right. All right. All right. Let's take the. There you go. All right. So who have we got in here? All right, we've got a bunch of people. All right, that was exciting. So we ended up just having to make it public. There's, so far as I can tell, there's no way to do it otherwise. It's really awesome. So this was an experiment, and we determined that in fact Google Hangouts is awful, and we'll probably try to use something else. Everything else out there though is like very full featured and has things we don't need because we have Slack for chat and lots of other stuff. But this is good enough, I suppose. So welcome to the inaugural. Oh, here's Nandeep. And welcome to the inaugural live event for the Learn Enough Society. Do you have audio? Can someone talk back at me? It's kind of weird. I feel like I'm just talking in the dark.
I can hear you.
How's it going?
I can hear you.
All right, cool. All right, we have people say hey.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. It's
okay,
great
it's Willie. I don't have a label on my screen. I don't know if.
Oh yeah. Oh no, it says right there. It actually does say Willie. So that's awesome. And who have we got here? Eric is there. Drew, Chris, Brian, Maurice, and Yohei. All right, so yeah, let's just verify that in Slack that people are. All right, so I was thinking we should make a channel for. Okay, so let me just do this here. I want to skip that. All right, but one thing we can see already. In fact, let me share this here. Where's the screen share? I'm going to share my Slack. So this is my Slack, as you can see. We've got. There we go. Yeah. One of the things you might have noticed that I was doing is I was using @here, and so what that does is it gives a notification to every person who's currently active. This is a really nice one because there are two other @notifications that will notify lots of people. There's @everyone, and there's @channel, and so each of those will push out a notification by email if someone isn't active. So if if you have like a Slack with 1,000 people in it and you do @everyone, it will send an email notification to every one of those 1,000 people. So @here restricts the notification just to the people who are currently active in the channel, which is what we want here. It's kind of cool. So Yeah, so this Slack, I think, it's been great. There's been a lot of activity. I'm curious to know if everyone sees these channels. You see these? I've got advanced general random tooling. Can you indicate in Slack whether or not you see those channels? Oh, okay, interesting. Um, so Eric indicates that he thinks that add everyone is only available in general. That may very well be the case. Okay, so this is what I thought. I thought people only saw general, and uh, so what I want to do is figure out how to get people invited to the other ones. And what I really want to do is make it so that by default everyone sees all the channels. Um, so take a look.
I think you have to join them individually. That's what
No,
happened.
well, right. So you can join them individually, but so the question is, how do you even know they're there? And there should
Gotcha.
be a way to get invited. So let's just see if we can get
So
invite.
let's see.
See if we can get someone
Uh,
invited to. Um, see, these are the existing channels. What I want to do is invite someone to a channel. I'm sorry, this is for a new channel. I want to invite someone to the current channel. So let's take a look at this.
click on the gear. Yeah, invite
Yeah,
to
exactly.
individual.
Yeah, here we go. So maybe I can do this. Think that works? No. So, because what's weird is that if you go to some other, I don't want to click on this. So this here is a Y Combinator channel. I don't want to click on it because it's got it's not for public consumption. But there are tons of channels on the Y Combinator alumni Slack, and I know I didn't add them by hand. So somebody somehow arranged for those channels to appear automatically when they were created. And so I would like that to happen here. So this is weird because I should be able to. Let me Google it. So I'm Googling invite everyone to channel. And Slack invite everyone to channel. Yeah, so that's what so Shirley May says here, that she's in another Slack group with 137 channels, and she can see them all, and that's exactly what my experience is with the Y
I mean, if you
Combinator.
click on the channel's header, it'll show the list.
No, that's
Uh,
true, but no, I think what she's saying though is that she sees them like this, and that's what I see in the Y Combinator channel too.
yeah. So by the way, with the with the invite people to channel, you can use the arrow key and enter or return in order to add them. So you can just alternate between those to add it. A lot of people really like
Yeah,
it.
that's just I mean I like that
Yeah, I
idea.
know.
So the idea actually, by the way, can everyone hear everyone when it's broadcasting? Can other people hear you when you're talking, or do I need to repeat it?
No, I can hear him.
Okay, but you're in the chat, so if people who are just watching it, great. Okay, yeah, so I agree that we could hack it, we could hack around it just by like doing it quickly, but there's got to be a way to invite everyone, I think. It's really weird. Well, yeah, it's really strange. All right, well, we might just have to I mean, this is on my list. This is on my to-do list, but I thought we could maybe do it here because it seems like a natural setting. Ooh, so it's really weird. Yeah, see, people join it, but you definitely like on the Y Combinator Slack. And I think even on the softcover Slack, which is also this is for the internal learn enough to be dangerous. I think they just appear. All right, here we go. Yeah, no, so this was on my list. This is great. Someone put in a link here to setting the default channels for new users. But what do you do with existing users? All right, well, I think I can maybe just do it by hand. It's really annoying. I'll just invite people by hand, and then so let's just create a new channel. So how do okay, so we're just looking here. Oh, okay, so we can look at the admin settings. No sound. Okay. Well, this is about as hard as I expected it to be, so let's just punt this until later. You got sound? Okay, so we've got a report of sound working. So maybe who didn't have sound? Okay. Cool. All right. Well, that is the way it goes, isn't it? All right. Well, I want to keep it's awesome. It's already 5:45. So let's just keep this like relatively focused. There are quite a few things. I mean, I planned lots of stuff to make sure that it would be cool if we actually had if we had a full hour or whatever, 45 minutes. But I'm not surprised that Google Hangouts was such a disaster. Sorry, it's actually Hangouts on Air. So I've used Google Hangouts lots of times, and that's fine for up to 10 people. But the Hangouts on Air is a whole different thing, and it's hard to test without an audience, right? And so I wanted to try testing it live to see how it go. So I think what we've learned is probably for future Hangouts, I'll actually use an integrated professional solution that isn't so error prone and like with such terrible documentation.
Yeah, so I know at my company, for my team, we use regular Hangouts for Scrum.
Yeah.
But when we have a company meeting, they use GoToWebinar.
Yeah. So there are there's actually several things that are really nice. I've been keeping track of webinar software for the past maybe 6 months. Every time something comes across my radar screen, I'll just make a note. So there's something else, I forget the name of it, but I have it written down, and it integrates nicely with my with the email software we use too. So, but yeah.
Join.me?
No, it was a .io domain. I forget what it was offhand. Actually, let me check. I can check.
Yeah, I know with regular GoToMeeting, when we were using that for a while on my team, there was actually like a 4-second lag because there was somebody in the same office as me. I could hear him. I could hear him outside my headphones, like 4 seconds before I hear him in the headphones.
Oh, so the one that I've looked at before is called Crowdcast, and that one looked really good, and I wanted to try it, but it wasn't free, and it comes with chat like built into it. But we've got Slack, so I wanted to try that. I wanted to try using Slack.
Well, I kind of wonder with GoToWebinar. I think as long as somebody has a paid account, that you can change the presenter and all that. So it's possible maybe with that if anybody on the team that's going to be there has an account, then they could probably set it up for everyone.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, so we'll figure that out. I'll plan to have live events every once in a while. We haven't figured out exactly what the schedule is going to be like, but it's great. All right. So let me share. Actually, let me maybe just share one of these things. I'm going to do a quick walkthrough. I would guess that most of you have already looked at this, but if not, I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. So let's take a look here. Actually, you know what? All right, I'm going to do like a super quick thing on this because it's going to be really, really quick. But then I'm going to try to deploy something. So you're Nick. You're there, right?
Hey.
Yeah. So I want to. Here we go. Where's my share? Here we go. Here we go. So I'm going to share this real quick. This is Cool. All right, so this is the. I just want to make sure everyone's on the same page with the Learn Enough interface, because I've been having a lot of fun myself with oh, look at that. This is so awesome. So check it out. I didn't even know this was here. There's a little 0 out of 5 here. If you can zoom in. This UI improvement has happened since the last time I logged in. That's awesome. So this is 0 of 5 exercises, I think. We'll find out. So I don't remember where I was when, I wrote this thing, right? So it's especially hard for me to keep track of where I am. So the progress tracking I found is super, super useful, because I'll take a break and then come back. Yeah, here we go. So there are 5 exercises. So 0 of 5. So is this really 6 shared exercises? Man, people have been. That's great. People have been active. I've been just so buried out. So I was out of town. I was at RailsConf, and so I really haven't checked this out in a while. I'm super excited to see how many people have made answers. But one thing you'll notice, though, is that the answers, the formatting is the formatting is sort of just basic text. This one looks nice. This looks like one has backticks. So I just want to show you one thing, and then we'll move on to the next stage. But so if you do man grep, so it turns out this is the right command, which is grep-n, and then the name of the string, and the text file. So if I save that, you can see this here. But one of the cool things about about this area is that it supports Markdown. And I think I had a request for even fancier Markdown, but this is pretty fancy already. So what I'm putting in here, let me just make it a little bigger, is these are this is GitHub style code fencing. So GitHub has an enhanced set of Markdown support, and one of the things you can do, well, actually there are 2 things. Let me just do this here. Oops. Let me get rid of the bash there. So if I do this, it just formats as regular code. In fact, oops, I didn't mean to do that. So it formats as regular code. And actually, I'm going to put the $sign in just to highlight the difference. So if you save this, why didn't it save? That's weird. Oh, that was weird. So something strange happened there. So I'm going to put in a $sign. Save it. So you can see that everything here is the same color. It's all green. But if I put in the name of the language, in this case a bash command, and save it, you can see there's a subtle difference. The $sign changes color, and this is even more stunning if I were to put something like this, or if I were to put in a string. So now you get syntax highlighting. It's red. So when you put in the actual language here in the code fencing, it highlights it according to the language, and this is especially great when you have longer code samples. So as the Learn Enough Society moves on and we start covering things like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Ruby, it will be increasingly cool when putting in answers to use the full syntax highlighting and so for Ruby you do something like this. You'd say Ruby, and you'd say this. So if you save this, you can see that it's going to have nice syntax highlighting. It's pretty cool. So I definitely encourage everyone, when you're putting answers in, to use this feature, because among other things, it's the sort of thing when eventually we'll make it so that you can share your answers not just with other people, but you can just have a page where you can see them all. And this is basically a portfolio. Like if you were to to apply to a job and show them dozens or hundreds of answered questions in beautifully formatted Markdown with syntax highlighting, that's the kind of thing that would impress someone who might want to hire you. And even here, I would probably, if you look at the answers I've already given, I actually add in extra verbiage just to, basically I treat it not just as a place to put the answer, but to explain it to someone who doesn't know it. So in this case, I'll write the full answer to this later, but it'll be, I would say something like running and grep and searching using /line number, we find that our option is -n. Actually, let me just type it out. So this is, equivalent, right? Because the other solution was perfectly fine with just the command. But this is an extra level of detail that, again, if I were hiring someone and I saw a bunch of answers with this level of detail, like, wow, this person really knows what they're doing. So I'm going to share it with other members so other people can see it. And I'm going to change one thing. Enough for now. Cool. All right, and there was another thing I was going to do. I was going to turn on Keycaster. I will turn this on for the next time we do this. So Keycaster is a program that shows you which keys are being struck, and it's really cool for learning keyboard shortcuts. But there's a setting that you know what? Maybe I can do it. I just found it. Okay, so keyboard accessibility. All right, I don't remember how to do it offhand. Oh, wait. This is technical. I'm just clicking around. Here, wait a minute. So it should work.
By the way, if you want us to see it, you're going to have to switch to
sharing.
No,
I know that you can't see this. Yeah, thanks for the note, but I actually know that you can't see this. Oh, look at that, it's working. All right, now I'm going to switch on the whole share. This is great. Okay. Okay. So do you see this here? People see it in the bottom left?
Yep.
Yeah. So this is really cool. Like the reason I was thinking about doing that is because you might have noticed that the size was getting bigger and smaller. And in case you didn't know how to do that with the keyboard shortcut, that's Command minus and Command plus. So Command plus just makes it bigger. And then there's a useful command for restoring it. You think, well, I just did Command plus a bunch of times to make it bigger, but I don't remember how many times. And so I just want to get it back to the default, and that's Command 0. It's really nice. You don't have to remember how many times you did it. It just pops you right back. So I was just showing you one of my, this is sort of bread and butter. Command tab, just cycling through the different apps. And then you can do Shift Command tab, goes the other way, if you didn't know about those. One of my favorite tricks is Command backtick. This is this here. So what Command backtick does is it cycles between the windows of the current application. So in this case, I've got another tab, or another Chrome window. This is like sort of a maximized almost, or sort of the whole screen. But this is my main working size, just 1024 by 768. And what this is here is like the secret surprise. This is chapter 1 of the Ruby on Rails tutorial, 4th edition, which is ready to go. Well, almost. There are a couple things I want to fix up, but I wanted to show you that this is actually it is now ready for people to look at. There are not any videos yet. The videos will probably be updated after I've done. Maybe not. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to do it. I'm probably going to do like a couple chapters at a time, and then then do the videos, or I might do all the. It could be that the right thing to do is just to do all the chapters. So I just want to just give you a quick look at this. This red stuff here, this is intentional. These are broken cross references. It's because these future chapters aren't ready. So this is a future chapter. Yeah, someone's saying that the command backtick would be nice on Windows. Yeah, I haven't used Windows as my primary OS since, I mean, I can't even, 1990, 98 or 99. It's a long time ago. I was using, yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I use it for games, and that's most of it. And occasionally, if I want to program in C#.
Yeah,
but,
so
yeah.
that was the last time I played games. Like the last games I played were, the last game I played was StarCraft. I've gotten out of video games, which has been good for my productivity. So this is the chapter, and so I'm going to show you this here. This is the branch for the Rails tutorial. This is the Rails 5 branch, and I want to publish this thing actually. So I'm going to cat. So this, I mean, just if you're wondering, like, what does my desktop look like? It looks like this. This is like a real working desktop with multiple command line terminals, and I've got a couple tabs here. So this tab here is running the it's running a server. It's running a softcover server that Nick Merwin wrote, and it's the software is the softcover ebook system that Nick and I worked on together. And so if you go to one of the cool things about this, go to the top here. I don't need this anymore. Just put in some lorem ipsum text. I'm going to save it. And so what it does is it automatically, oops, look at that. So what happened there is it popped to this ID because I was actually clicked into a particular figure number. So let's go back here. So it's just /beginning. Yeah. Oh, so Will Arnold noticed. That's another thing. I was like, hey, you might. By the way, if in case you wonder what the source of these things look like, I can actually let me pop this one open. Here's Git. So this is the source of the Git tutorial, and yes, it is. This is in LaTeX.
Yeah.
It's my background is oops, look at that. I just caught an error. This should be a. So check this out. Wait a minute. No, it is the end of a sentence. Never mind. That's right. Yeah. So this is. My background's in physics, so I know a lot about typesetting and tech. So I'm going to undo this. Actually, no, let me show you. Actually, yeah, no, this will work because if you go here, you can see the lorem ipsum text. So I'm going to save it. Actually, we can get rid of this. Save it, and it'll go away automatically. And so I have aliases for all the common Git things, like GS is Git status. I'm not going to type out Git status, so I alias it to GS. Actually, I can do like GCA or something for this, but I can type git commit brief. I don't know. My brain wants to do this. And remove empty notes. All right, and so what I want to do is actually let me push that up. All right, and so what I'd like to do is, yeah, so I don't know if we're going to be able to do it live. Nick, do you think we can do this live, or is there too much?
Let's give it a shot.
You want to give it a shot? All right.
Yeah, why not?
Okay, so we're going to try to deploy this live to the live website, so everyone here can see it. So what do I need to do? So we need to manage. Do we have a 4th edition or not? No, we need the book ID.
Yeah. Let's see. You haven't published this at all up there yet?
No.
Okay.
No, it was published locally. Remember, we got it working locally.
That's right. Is the softcover book file still sitting in that directory?
No, it's not.
Okay, then you could just try a big old publish. Oh, just make sure the slug should be different too, right?
Oh, yeah. It's.
So you changed it for local.
Yeah, I changed it. It should be. here it is. So we're identifying the book by a unique string. It's a slug. You know where that term comes from, Nick?
I forget.
It's weird. All right, so do I just publish it?
Yeah, go for it.
Let's see if this works.
It's actually going to take a really long time to upload all the imagery, though.
Oh, it does have to. It does have to upload all the images. Ah, okay, yeah, that's right. No, this will take too long to do this here. Yeah, so this is what happens when you do it live. Is that it's going to take like forever.
We don't get to take the casserole out after.
Yeah.
Seconds.
Okay, so that's cool. Like, well, it'll be live like soon after. I'll send a note to everyone, or like everyone on this list. Like, I'll hit the full Learn Society list probably tomorrow with this. Maybe this is just a bonus for showing up here. I'm going to hit the full list probably once the first 2 chapters are available, and I'm hoping that'll be next week. But so this is going to take forever. I'm just going to Control-C out. Remember what happens when you get stuck, right? This is a lesson in the command line tutorial. Control-C is like the universal I'm stuck. So what are people doing here? Yeah. So someone typed in. This is you foul play too. So we can go over here, check it out. Here's the video. Well, I actually linked to it. So yes, I'm all over this. So for those of you who don't know, it's not safe for work language, so I'm going to omit the details. But Bill O'Reilly once was in a situation where he had to do it live, and so when someone says, "Let's do it live," like that's that GIF that he just put in and the video I just showed is something a lot of people will reference. So if you ever hear someone say "do it live," they're probably referencing that. And in fact, we were saying that for this. It's like, hey, let's just do it live, see what happens. And so we discovered that, yeah, that's right, there's a huge upload. Basically, all the images have to be uploaded, and that takes too long, especially since we're basically just destroying my bandwidth right now by doing the broadcast. So, but that will be ready soon. So here's the preview. Chapter 1 is ready to go. And in fact, check it out. Rails 5 is not even out yet. I just want to draw your attention to this. This is amazing. So I've never been this far ahead of the curve on a Rails release. I'm really excited about it. So Rails 5 is currently 5.0.0 release candidate 1. So Rails 5 final will probably be out, I would guess, in sometime this month. But you never know. And they might go through a couple RCs, like RC1, RC2. And so what that means is that this is like absolutely the freshest version of Rails, and it's not really going to change the tutorial that much. There have been a few things. Actually, the first chapter, there was one thing. I don't know if you know about this, Nick. There's a renderer. It used to be render text, and now it's render HTML. Couldn't believe that they actually changed the Rails framework. It's not a big change, but they actually did update it such that the code in the first chapter changed. This is the entire code of the first chapter. Like, this is it. This is the entire code that's added in the first chapter is these 3 lines, and the only line that could possibly be affected was this one line, and it was affected. It's just pretty stupid, but what are you going to do? So I'm not sure what I'm going to do about the screencast, which is for the 3rd edition, which uses Rails 4.2. I'll probably just put a note in, say, look.
Is it just a deprecation warning, or does it actually crash?
I'm actually not sure, but I'll still put it. That's actually a good question. We can answer it. It'll take too long. Take too long. But yeah, so this thing is going out very, very soon, and so check back at the courses page and sometime later tonight or over the starting tomorrow or over the weekend, and you should be able to see chapter 1. I will of course be sending out a notification, as I mentioned. But so right now like I said, there aren't any videos, but I have added exercises, and they're pretty cool. Like, some of them are, and they're designed to be really easy initially, and sort of gets you off the ground in a gentle way. So just to, while I've got everyone on the line, I just want to go through what our plans are. So basically, what we've got now at these courses. Oops, courses. All right. Yeah, so basically what we've got now is these three, the developer fundamentals, command line, text editor, Git, and which is hugely valuable. Like if you learn these technologies, you can collaborate with millions of people around the world. These are like enabling technologies for all kinds of other cool stuff. So what we're doing now is we're skipping ahead, and I'm going to be pushing, basically because Rails 5 is coming out like any day now, or any week now, and because that material is mostly written and I want to get some value for people who are currently subscribed, I'm going to be pushing out those 12 chapters over the next couple months with the videos. The videos will mainly just be edited because Rails has not changed much since Rails 4.2 to Rails 5. So it seems like it's just a waste of effort. It's like probably like 99% the same. There's one possibility that chapter 10 might actually be touched by an update. So I might end up rewriting that chapter or recutting the screencast, but for the most part, the screencasts are the same. So if you watch the 3rd edition screencast, it's still a really good review, and it will be compatible with Rails 5, but it's not going to be made from scratch. But for the much larger number of people who haven't watched the screencast at all, it will actually be doubly useful because there are quite a few changes that don't really affect anything, but that you need to know about. So for example, you'll find out that the way you update database structure in Rails has changed from typing rake dbmigrate to Rails dbmigrate. Okay, and the videos will have to cover both because they were made when rake dbmigrate was what people used, but I need to update them to mention Rails dbmigrate. But this is a feature, not a bug, because you need to know both. Like every legacy Rails app in the entire universe will require you to use rake dbmigrate, and it's only on new apps that you can use Rails dbmigrate instead. So you need to know both. And so during this transitional period, it's really good to have a screencast series that actually has both, so the older version and the newer version. So once the Rails tutorial is kicked out, which I'm hoping will be done by the end of the summer, certainly, then I'm going to go back and we're going to start publishing these guys, the HTML, CSS and layout, and JavaScript as this Web Basics tier, and then Ruby, Sinatra, Ruby on Rails. And these ones, the Ruby web development here, the basic development, will definitely draw inspiration from the Rails tutorial, especially the Ruby one will be based probably on chapter 4. But I'm going to be doing lots of other cool stuff because in the Rails tutorial, it's like the minimum Ruby to get by. But if you do learn enough Ruby to be dangerous, I'm going to assume all these prerequisites, the command line and so on. And so that means we're going to be writing Ruby scripts, which is really cool. That the Rails tutorial doesn't do that at all. And I might cover options. There's an option parser that's really powerful. And I also will probably have you ship a Ruby gem. Won't do very much, but it will teach you just the basic mechanics of making a self-contained piece of Ruby software and sharing it. So that's going to be awesome. And then Sinatra and Rails, learn enough Sinatra to be dangerous and learn enough Rails to be dangerous will be like a really gentle introduction to web development for people who don't necessarily just want to be hit with the full complexity of Rails. And chances are, if you've read the Rails tutorial, these will be super easy. But Sinatra is a real framework, and I mean, at least the last time I checked, Disney.com was a Sinatra app. So it's super simple. It's like a minimalist Ruby framework, really, really streamlined. But it is a real production-ready system, and to the point where one of the most heavily trafficked media sites in the world uses it for their main site. And Disney's sub-properties are mostly Rails. At least again, the last time I checked. I have a friend who used to work on the web team there. So that's the plan, and let me go back to video here. Where are we here? Oh, it's minimized, isn't it? All right, cool. Well, so we're way over. It's way past 6, but of course we had the long delay there, predictably. So if anyone needs to go, of course, anytime. You're always welcome to take off. You don't have to ask me for permission. I'm glad no one did. But I'm happy to hang around for another few minutes and answer any questions you have.
I have a question about.
Yeah.
Git etiquette as I'm going through the exercises, and I noticed that some of my commits have like my real email address and name and all that. As I post the answers online, or if I even get to the point where I'm on GitHub or something with it, is there a downside to putting your real information as you're sharing code like that?
Yeah, there is. Like anybody can get your email address off GitHub.
Right.
I mean, this is the secret. Like, you now know, like, the secret the secret technique to get the email address of anybody who's ever shared code on GitHub. You've got like.
I mean, actually, pretty recently, somebody contacted me. He'd seen some of my code on GitHub and wanted to hire me for some freelance work.
Yeah. Oh no,
so it actually has an upside potentially.
Oh, right. It does. It does. But you can't hide. People will know who you are. They'll know what your email address is, and yep, that's just the way it goes.
Right. So there's upsides and there's downsides. Is there more upside than downside? Does it even matter? Nobody knows you?
I think there's more upside than downside, because I mean, especially the culture of open source software is just so welcoming, and I mean, look, there's always going to be jerks in the world, but generally speaking, like, the whole point of open source is to work together to solve awesome problems, right? Right. So and like Eric said, people will find you to hire you. They'll see your code. What you want to do is get to the point where you're tired of hearing from recruiters. Like, that's something to aspire to. It's like they love your code so much that you're like tired of people trying to hire you.
Right.
It's a good problem. I mean, people do complain about it, but it's a great problem to have. And this is big for me. Like, back when, so I did Y Combinator, and it's my second failed startup, and I was running out of money. Basically, like, I was always getting people emailing me saying, "Hey, can I hire you for something?" And the answer was always, "No, I'm not available." And basically got to the point where I was running out of money, and I just needed to take the next thing. Basically, I decided, okay, well, the next person who asks me, "Can I hire you?" like, I'll say yes instead of no. And it was really nice to be in a position like I don't like doing contract work particularly, but that gig definitely paid for. It paid for my living expenses basically between the shutdown of my Y Combinator startup and when the Rails tutorial launched, which was a while. It was like over a year. So that was, and that might have happened with that GitHub because I wrote a book. But nowadays, like, if you want people to come in and say, "Hey, can I pay you money for writing code?" then GitHub is one of the top places they look.
Wow.
And also.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna mention to Willie that you can use any email that you want with Git and GitHub. So you could just register something new on Gmail, something that's not associated with any of your personal information elsewhere.
That's true.
And use git config on your command line to set it to default to whatever name pseudonym you want, and it'll still be an email that you have. You can forward them to your main account, but if you wanna ghost code on GitHub, then that could be a way to do it.
Could I retroactively go back and through my Git history, through my commits, and change it, or is that locked?
I don't know. There's probably a way.
There might be a way.
I was thinking I would go to Google and say, like, how to rewrite the email address in your Git history. Like, there are things for rewriting history, because sometimes what will happen, like, one thing that I know has happened to people that in sort of my circle, is that someone will commit like a secret key, and it goes way back, and you have to rewrite the history. You have to go back and completely scrub it, because otherwise anybody who clones the repo can see your key. So there are ways to rewrite the history. It's generally a bad practice, because of course lots of things can go wrong if someone's already cloned it. Then, like, now they don't have that history. But, so Eric, you had a comment too?
Yeah, so there are also alternatives to GitHub, like Bitbucket, and my favorite alternative is GitLab. Yeah. Because GitLab has free, unlimited free private repositories even.
Yeah. So the Rails tutorial uses Bitbucket because of the unlimited free private repos, and part of the reason for that is because GitLab didn't exist, or at least it wasn't like they didn't have a publicly hosted version. I actually know the reason that the softcover gem is called softcover instead of something like less sensible is due to Zitza, who's the CEO of GitLab. So I actually met Zitza a few years ago at RubyConf in Miami, and then they're a Y Combinator company too. So when the Git tutorial launched, Zitza actually almost immediately added Learn Enough Git to be dangerous to GitLab's documentation, which is really nice of him. It was cool because on Hacker News he left a comment with a link to the diff on GitLab. It's like such a Git thing to do. It's like, I'm going to show you that I added your tutorial to the list of resources by giving you the diff. So yeah, I'm well aware of GitLab, and I think we'll see. Like, there's some switching costs to going from just in terms of the writing of the tutorial. But I definitely mentioned it in Learn Enough Git to be dangerous, and in future I might emphasize that option more. But that's true. That's true. If you look at chapter 1, once I ship it, you'll see that it uses this is the Rails tutorial. You can see that it uses Bitbucket exactly for the reason we're talking about, which is that my belief is that web apps should be private by default, because even though technically speaking a Rails app just freshly generated, and even the one that's developed in the Rails tutorial is safe to put on the web, that's not good to count on in general, and it takes a lot of experience to not to accidentally check in a secret key. So it's the sort of thing you can really shoot yourself in the foot, which is why I do recommend by default to use private repos.
Yeah, so I know one thing that GitLab has that Bitbucket does not is GitLab has free, unlimited private contributors. You can collaborators. So that's the one thing. I mean, I think basically Bitbucket, it seems like they just make their money off the enterprise stuff, is what it looks like.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's probably right. But yeah, so going forward, GitLab has matured a lot, and they're really doing amazing stuff at GitLab. By the way, GitLab is a Rails app, in case you're wondering. It's open source. You can download it and run it on your own internal servers, but then they have a hosted version. It's kind of like WordPress in that way, in the model, because WordPress you can install your own WordPress blog, but WordPress.com actually runs like a version of their open source software. So this is in the business it's known as eating your own dog food or dog fooding. So they actually use their own stuff, and so GitLab is like that too. They have a version of their software that they run hosted if you want. But yeah, so it's definitely a good option. I'll make a note to add a reference to that in the first chapter, because it really is good, and it's nice to help out a friend who's doing great work. Cool. So any other questions? I should probably, yeah. So some notes about speed. That they know that performance is one of their main issues. So let me go for another 5 minutes and answer a couple more questions. If there are any.
So I don't know if you noticed, but I posted a link and mentioned to you for Image Optim.
Oh yeah,
it's a Mac app that you basically you can even launch it command line, but basically it'll just compress and remove metadata and stuff like that for files, for image files, PNG, JPEG, and GIF are the formats this works, and it can sometimes make a significant difference in file size.
Great, yeah, thanks.
Yeah, that might make the upload faster.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, and that's something maybe I could talk with. Because I mean, presumably it helps the download speed too when people hit the website. So I can talk with Lee about that. You can see at Lee here in the chat. He is the third of the three co-founders here. It's Nick Merwin, Lee Donahoe, and me. So Lee is our designer among others. We all wear multiple hats, of course, but Lee does all the design. Lee's one of these guys. So yeah, we part of the reason we have these intro tutorials is like this is the stuff that every designer needs to know. Like Lee knows this stuff. He knows how to use the command line, how to use Git, and like it's just unbelievably easier, right? When you have a designer who can do a Git pull, and who can like make a commit and and like work with the Rails views. Like that's just it's just so powerful. So like basically every designer in the world should know how to use the command line and well, presumably they know text editors and learn how to use Git. It's just incredibly useful. As a developer, Nick and I can work together, but adding Lee to the mix is just like super useful. So that's part of what inspired the actual product line that we're making is like realizing just how many people can benefit from this.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. On my team at work, our main designer actually was originally a developer on the team and kind of switched, kind of promoted to a designer. So he obviously knows how to write code.
Yeah.
Kind of nice.
Someone's asking about the Rails tutorial. The final thing, the application development, that is the Rails tutorial. So we're rolling it into Learn. It'll still be available on its regular domain and at railstutorial.org. But it's sort of the capstone. Once you get through the intro sequence is optional in the sense that technically you can get through the Rails tutorial without any prerequisites, but it's just so much. So I wanted to make something that was a gentler introduction, and also with standalone tutorials. So if someone wants to learn just Git, they can pick up that tutorial, and instead of trying to piece together all the Git stuff in the Rails tutorial, that would be weird. So once that's done, and I didn't even mention this, but once the Rails tutorial is out and the intro tutorials are done, then we'll be making follow-on products. So probably one of my priorities is connecting up with the JavaScript ecosystem out there, and I've got a friend who's an expert at React. So I'm actually a couple friends who are experts on React. So I'm interested in maybe trying to figure out how to integrate that with Rails, because I think there's a lot of power there. So. All right, so that's great. Thanks. I think I need to get going because, among other things, I need to rest my voice. I'm singing in a concert tomorrow night, and my voice I had laryngitis a few weeks ago and literally lost my voice. So it is time for me to take off and stop talking. But thank you so much for coming out here. I'll probably plan to have some more of these because it's great to have a chance to talk with people. So any final thoughts? Pop them into Slack.
Actually, I have one more question for you, Mike. What will be the next step for, once we get through technical sophistication, so I've gotten through all the initial courses. I actually have an operations background, so I'm very familiar with the rest of the architect. But I'm still in entry-level phase and not comfortable enough to say, well, yes, I'd be ready, but I would need to be more a part of a collaborative, experienced team on a junior level. How would you, I guess, recommend we seek those opportunities per se?
Yeah, I don't have a lot of experience with this because that's not the I'm not looking for a job, right?
No, got you.
So I actually don't know a whole lot about that. But what I would say is, work your network, ask around for anyone in your network who has, whose company is hiring. You can also, I don't know what the good job boards are right now, but I would say something, find maybe Stack Overflow. Do they have jobs listed? It seems like a good place to go. So find companies that get it, that are using things like GitHub or GitLab or Stack Overflow that are recruiting through these sort of technical things that attract the right kind of people, the kind of people who really care about developing their skills.
Also, what people are looking for when they specifically ask for your GitHub account or Bitbucket or whatever is any sort of open source contributions that you've made.
Yeah.
So once you're feeling up to it, there are some sites out there that that list and aggregate all of the open source projects that need help, and also the ones that tier their to-dos for beginners, and some of them are known to encourage beginner participation more so than others. And so if you can get a couple commits in there, those are gold on your resume.
Understood. Thank you, gentlemen.
Great. Thanks so much, everyone, for coming out. This is really cool. This went better than I expected. Like really a lot of RSVPs. I was impressed with how many people were interested in this. So we'll definitely be running some more. But time for me to get going. Thanks so much for coming out, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Bye.